Yo, good morning. What's up? This is the first Coffee with Creators that is not live, but we had to keep going. We're here at the NAB show 2024 in Vegas. I grabbed Travis Wares to come on camera with me because this guy, DP, Gaffer, all-around production guy, a lot to talk about. Before we get into that, this episode is sponsored by Godox. I know you definitely know Godox.
No Godox.
Huge array of lighting and other solutions for production. Check out our day one coverage of NAB to see what we found here that's brand new. Links down below. Before you go there, let's talk, man. So you are a DP, a Gaffer. You're big in Kansas City for the production world, but one of the things I really find about you that connects Adorama, we're big on community. You built Cine Kit List, which is a massive community online. Where did that come from? What made you start it, and how did it get to where it is now?
Yeah, good question. Glad to be here, Seth. Thanks for asking.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, cheers. So Cine Kit List is something that grew out of something I was doing on the Red user forums.
Okay.
Group buys, essentially. You know, I'm an owner-operator, own a small production company. We've got some trucks, always trying to accumulate new gear. Gear is very expensive.
Yeah.
Trying to improve the ROI model, basically. Like, can I get this gear for a little bit less? Increases my ROI. Go to the manufacturer, say, hey, if we put together 25, 30, 40 people, can we get a little bit better pricing? Was running those on my own, on a forum online, and they got a little bit too big, so I broke away and started my own little community on Facebook.
That's yeah. It's like, hey, can I get a lower price? I can get you a lower price. How did it grow? I have no idea, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about some high-end stuff that a lens, 10 grand, stuff like that. But I think what people got together is that stuff does nothing sitting on shelves. So they want it out there being used on sets, showing examples like work that is out there, productions, movies you've seen, other stuff, said shot on, and you're bringing that out there.
Yeah, you know, getting gear into the hands of our members is an important part of it because I firmly believe in, you know, scaling up your business by increasing ROI in whatever little different avenue or bucket you can.
Yeah.
Another way I think Cine Kit List is helpful to the video production community in general is it puts manufacturers a little bit closer in contact with the community, the end user. So you've got manufacturers, you've got sometimes a distributor, and then you've got maybe an online retailer or an in-house retailer. And the manufacturer is like 2, 3, 4 levels removed from the customer. With Cine Kit List, we can have these conversations with the manufacturers as we're putting together promotions saying, hey, what besides pricing, besides tech specs, like why did you design this? Right, yeah. How did you design this to help the community? And can we communicate that message as part of the promotion so that it's kind of an education piece as well?
Yeah, we talk a lot about philosophy of brand here on the channel, where it's not like, look, specs will always get there, resolutions, speeds, whatever, but it's really like how the brands support users, what they're designing, the way they think about their builds. So hearing not just the end user, but professional end users that run into like weird, quirky situations that they probably never even thought of while they were designing stuff is huge.
Right.
You know? So with the NAB show, you're here doing demos or workshops, you're teaching. You also do education, right?
Right. So I'll be here today, Monday the 15th, 4:15 at the Godox booth at 1 p.m. to do a lighting tech demo. Godox has introduced a couple of new products to NAB this year. A couple of them are the F-Series RGBW Flex Mats.
Yeah, we covered those, yeah.
They've got that big, I called it the bat signal.
That's what I called it when we looked at it.
Yeah,
it totally is.
It looks like
it's a beam angle. It's a 5-degree beam angle, you know what I mean?
Right, so I was just like, okay, and it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like the Beamlight Max 90, I think they call it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if you're not aware of it, it's a big reflector that gets you a tight beam, which means you get a lot of power along a far distance. So the whole goal there is to reflect it off of a reflector from that distance and then making it spread and diffuse, which is awesome. But I mean, is that what your demo is? What is your actual demo? You're gonna beam that thing off of like?
I think we're gonna play around a little bit with the Beam 90. They've got the new light flow reflector systems, the Cine reflectors, you know, which are designed to do exactly what you said, redirect light, help shape light. You know, it's not just about cutting light, it's also, and it's not just about, you know, shining the light directly on a source. Sometimes a lot of the light that we experience is refracted light and reflected light. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in order to recreate that on camera, a lot of times you have to use little tricks.
Yeah, so imagine putting a reflector outside of a window, then using that mag beam to hit that reflector, then cut all the light for the scene comes in through the window rather than gripping inside the room. And then you've got wood floors that bounce off the warmth and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So many times daylight is, I mean, everybody always says daylight. You go to the Home Depot, it says daylight, 5600K. Rarely is daylight actually 5600K with how you're experiencing it as a
after
person.
it goes through atmosphere, after it reflects off of this beautiful carpet, like
Right.
this is not going to be, no.
Yeah, exactly. Through the trees, early in the morning, the sun's low, it's a little bit gold. They called it golden hour for a reason, okay? Gold is not 5600K.
You got gold hour, blue hour, purple hour,
That's
twilight. True. I mean, forget about it. In one day, you've got so much options for lighting, I guess tones.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So one thing we like to do with RGBW units or even bicolor units is to change the temperature of the outside source, meant to be the sun, or mimic the sun, and then bounce it off one of these reflectors to create one of those more moody feels.
Well, now you've got that new integration to the app where it'll color sample from a live video feed in real time. So if you are creating a set with like virtual background, if you're near neon signs, it'll actually have a light off camera that's reflecting the color of that neon sign in real time from the video playing. Did you see this?
I haven't yet.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling him about it. This is crazy. So if you want to have like Times Square behind us and they're playing B-roll of it just like rolling through, we're standing here, we can look like we're walking in it, and as a red sign passes us, the lights will turn red and start reflecting off us, so it matches the environment light.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's wild. I mean, it's a whole system. It's an ecosystem right there. So what do you think is the few knowledge gaps that are existing? Because I feel like the whole industry has changed from like super pro productions, like people are self-publishing, people are self-producing,
Right.
Smaller productions are getting a lot more eyes on Netflix, things like that. What do you think is the bigger gaps in knowledge that you're trying to spread out there?
I think, for me, I'm really focused on how we can help more people step into the industry and stabilize their business and then scale their business without necessarily increasing their overhead dramatically.
Okay.
So not to harp too much on ROI, but for me, as owner operators, previously you're competing with big rental houses or big production companies. They own a lot of gear. They have a lot of on-staff employees. They're able to be very nimble in productions. I think if you're an owner operator and you do own your gear and you build a community inside your city of crew that knows how to use your gear, that you can trust, you can be nimble, you can pivot, when someone comes to your town and asks you what to do, and you can acquire the gear through your small community. I mean, I think you can pretty much do any job that the bigger studios can pull off.
Everything's built on relationships,
right?
I feel, which is massive for any freelancing world. But I think you hit on a part that I think a lot of people don't even think about when they get into this. They want to shoot, they want to light, they want to do cool stuff, but then you got to go be a grown-up, and you got to actually learn some business to it, which I wish I did when I was younger in my career, for sure. So that's super important. Do you ever get some kids that just roll their eyes like, I don't want to know any of this?
I mean, I learned all these lessons the hard way myself. So I mean, part of Cine Kitless, part of our passion is not just the gear and it's not just the manufacturer relationships. It's my passion for giving people some financial education when it comes to how to structure your business as a corporation. Why? You know what I mean? Maybe because you can put yourself on payroll. You know what I mean? You get different benefits that way. Or maybe it's so you can have access to a different retirement program that allows you to contribute money from both the business, the corporation, and the employee.
There's some don't even think about retiring.
Exactly. So a lot of times it's just when you first start up, you're just grinding. You're hoping to keep the wheels turning. You want to make the rent or the mortgage, and you're like, hey, can I get through this year? Can I get through this next year? Once you hit like 4, 5, 6 years in, now it's like, okay, I can take my foot off the gas a little bit. I can breathe, but now how do I build this and structure this so that I can retire at some point? Because I'm not going to have a pension, and I do have to think about like healthcare, et cetera. Like, how can I approach this business like a business, not just like my creative hobby, so that I can, really feel secure beyond just a job-to-job situation?
Do you feel like you've learned some stuff from your Cine Kitless community as well, like it's reflected back at you?
I think that's the part of the community, right? It's not just me distilling knowledge to them. It's maybe I'm involved in helping start a conversation because I'm curious. What's everybody out here doing when it comes to this? That's the beauty of a Facebook group, of a forum. Everybody gets to contribute and we all learn from each other. It's not just me standing behind a pulpit giving a sermon, it's a round table.
Yeah, and it's ever changing in industries like this, which is what makes shows like this so important. You don't just see new toys, you see where technology's going. You're kind of placing bets on where you think things are going and where to invest yourself things like that.
Yeah, and it's about the people too,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
You know, like the tech is great. I first
It's a
came,
reunion, this show.
absolutely. I came to NAB for the first time in 2016, and at that time, I mean, what, 8 years ago? You know, there was, of course, YouTube was out there, but
Yeah,
you didn't really have in-depth, high-level reviews of equipment like that are everywhere now. So if you wanted to put your hands on the gear to find out if it was really legit or not, you had to come to a show like this.
Yeah.
Now, you can pretty much pick up most of that information on YouTube. There's a ton of great creators like yourself here covering this stuff in detail, showing, hey, pros, cons, what to think about, who this might work for.
Yeah, exactly, that part.
But what you can't replicate from watching it on YouTube is this type of connection. Meeting somebody, shaking their hand, looking them in the eye, you know, not their persona on Apple Vision Pro, you know, actually, you know, making a connection, and those matter, you know, relationships matter. You build trust through these in-person conversations.
And the longer you stick around, the more it circles around, because as someone else's career grows or pivots, so does yours, and you meet again.
Right.
And you know, it's really a good way to keep checks on the industry, the people, and also like, what is next, and do you have to be part of it?
Sure.
I mean, how do you feel about AI coming through? What's your thoughts on all that?
People keep asking me that. You know, I think it's really interesting. I'm not going to pretend to know
Nobody knows
what's around the corner. I will say that, you know, I don't think it helps much to be afraid of technology. I feel like, you know what I mean, the guys who are selling at a certain point, you do have to kind of try to look around the corner and see what's happening. Like when the Model T came out, the guys selling the horses and buggies were probably like not too happy about it, right? And I think there's a certain element of jobs that will be replaced by computer technology.
I mean, I just remember the days of when, like, first of all, going from film to digital, people fighting that.
Yeah.
Then I remember people saying like, no, social's not a real media, and it's like, oh yeah, now everything has to shoot vertical. Like it's like everything's going in that direction. So it's never going away, and you're doing yourself a disservice by not learning another thing.
Totally.
You know, assimilating a little bit. In the photo side of things, I've seen so many very respected pros fade away because they didn't learn video, because we stopped becoming just these one-trick ponies.
Right.
You had to learn how to create media.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, can you pivot if you need to pivot? Like, you know, even something as simple as in 2016, the LED lighting when it was on the show floor then to where it is now.
Big difference from then, though.
Yeah, and there was so many people saying, you know, like, well, it'll never be as accurate as tungsten, and that's all that matters is as color accuracy and dimmability and all these things. And now it's like, who's out here with fluorescent tubes or tungsten lights? It's all LED. The technology continues to improve to the point where it's going to surpass the old stuff.
And it marries the other side of things, like the cameras read the light differently,
Right.
more dynamic range, more everything, really. So it's everything progresses, and whenever something comes out new, you always have to understand Gen 1 is Gen 1.
Sure.
But there's always going to be the next generation of it. LED is just, the heat's not there, the footprint's not there,
Right.
the price, and all that stuff. I mean, you're getting the power out of something that is like a third of the weight of what things were when they were tungsten.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of crazy, you know?
I think one thing about AI, this is maybe my only the thing that makes me not nervous, is that what we do and what companies do when they're trying to reach out to customers is tell human stories, right? So it doesn't matter if AI is involved or not. At a certain point, you need a human in there, I think, to help tell a true human story.
Yeah, my worry about it is if we get a younger generation that's raised on AI media, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They're like, this is real to me.
Right.
So what do I know? I mean, you know, so it's something's gonna happen somewhere. Think about it, right? Like, kids are really watching shows on a small screen now, right? They're not even thinking what it would be like on a bigger screen sometimes. It's kind of crazy if you think about it that way. I hope AI becomes more of a tool where like the cameras even recognize identifications of you.
Right.
And so the metadata of this video would give me your social and everything already tagged in there. So when I go to post it, it's sitting there, something like that.
You know what? Let's watch this video 10 years from now and email and talk about how wrong we were.
I mean, that's going to be awesome. I mean, 10 years from now, the speed that things are going, I can't even imagine it. But speaking of all that social, like, where can they find CineKitList? How can they join it? You know, what's the...
Yeah, so we do have a website, which is CineKitList.com, but most of the action's happening in the private Facebook group. If you just search CineKitList on Facebook, you'll find it. We also have an Instagram, instagram.com/CineKitList, and then you can find me on Instagram as well. I'm Travis Weers, W-E-A-R-S.
All right, cool, man. Well, thanks so much for taking the time. We're going to let you get back to your classes. Thanks
Love
so
it,
much.
brother. Appreciate you.
All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one, and it'll be live.